We officially have 90 days until whitetail season opens here in Ohio, which means it is time to start shooting your bow. A lot. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through what a normal training session looks like for me to get my hunting specific skills sharpened and ready to go before the season comes. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first, I'm not a professional archer, I'm not an archery coach, but I have become fairly proficient at slinging arrows over my few years of practicing in the way that I'm going to show you today. So typically in a bow hunting specific training session, which I get into as we get closer to hunting season, obviously, I run a 3-part kind of training day. So part 1 is a very specific drill that we'll get into. Part 2 is kind of the meat and potatoes of the session, the heavy reps kind of stuff. And then part 3 is a finishing drill that I will show you at the end of this as well. And this is just sort of my 2 cents on what I think I need to be doing on the range to produce good results in the field. So the first drill we're going to do is a 40-yard cold start drill, no warm-up, no practice, lining up at 40 yards, shooting one single arrow and assessing how that shot goes. This is going to simulate a shot in the field because you obviously only get one shot. So we're going to go ahead and take a single shot, 40 yards, no warm-up, and see what happens. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, also, if you're at a range that doesn't have marked targets or firing lines like the one I'm at today, remember to bring your rangefinder, because I just had to paste this off, so now I have no idea what's going to happen. But out there at 40, roughly, I'm going to aim for the center dot in the center of that target. Actually, I'm going to aim center bottom, because it's a little bit cleaner of a target. Okay, I think we're in there. So basically what this drill sort of affords you is a very honest, and sometimes unfortunately too honest, look at how you're progressing. Because a cold start is basically just going to be, the same every time. You're not warmed up to a certain extent, you're not sore to a certain extent, you're just fresh onto the range and taking a shot at 40. And this spot looks pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that. So overall, pretty happy with that. I think this left to right variance is just natural sway because from what I can tell, my sight is pretty dialed. So I feel like if I shot a group, the group would probably average about here in the center. So overall, about centered. So the next part of this session is going to be the higher rep stuff. So now we're going to start actually focusing on form and picking apart my form to make sure that I'm doing the right things every single time. So we're going to come back to the short range now and start focusing on anchor and release, which in my opinion are the 2 most important things when you're talking about a repeatable and accurate archery shot. So when I'm doing this blank bailing, the bail's not blank, but I'm not really worried about where I'm hitting on the bail. I am focusing on mentally cueing off of this anchor back here on the V in my jawbone and the V from the release. I'll just show you what that looks like one time. Again, I'm just letting the pin float on the target. I don't really care where this arrow lands. It's not really the point of this drill. Setting up my release, and then just squeezing the shot. Good. So on top of anchor, the second part that I'm focusing on, and as I'm building this shot, I'm going to add those mental cues. So my first mental cue was anchor. My second mental cue is going to be release. So when I release with this specific handheld, there are a couple ways to do it. Number one, I can just punch my thumb in, and that's typically not going to be as repeatable as adding back tension and then rolling my pinky back. Ooh, I just released by accident there, you see what I mean? If I place my thumb on this trigger and I add tension through my pinky like that, you can shoot this sort of like a hinge, and I don't always do it. But if I want the most repeatable, accurate shot, I am going to be doing it like that. So add tension in the string, bring my thumb around, rest my thumb on that barrel, as you can kind of see there, and then rotate my pinky backwards. And the release breaks kind of like a hinge. I'm going to go ahead and run this shot again, and I'm going to mentally cue anchor, and then I'm going to mentally cue that rotation in my wrist for the release. So come on back here, anchor, thumb on the barrel, like so, and rotate my pinky. Beautiful. Third cue, when I'm really just focusing on form only and not so much worried about that pin float, is follow through. So you'll see that when my bow goes off, I'm typically not holding it, I'm letting it fall like so. trying to catch your bow after the shot goes off like this is going to add a lot of inconsistency in your hand torque. You want to make sure that that bow is just falling naturally after the shot. It doesn't have to be super exaggerated like in competition recurve and stuff like that, but just make sure that when this bow goes off, pardon me. First of all, you'll notice my grip here is with these two fingers on the bow, very gentle grip. And I'm just letting it sit inside the crease of my palm. When that shot goes off, you'll notice the bow just kind of falls forward. Let's go ahead and put all three of these cues together and execute a nice shot on a blank bail. Draw, anchor, release, and follow through. Good. Feeling good here. I'm going to start incorporating, actually, aiming now. I'm just going to work my way across the grid of dots on that target and see what we end up with. But what this is going to incorporate is accepting pin float for what it is, because it is going to happen, and then still being able to squeeze off a shot even when your pin is floating back and forth around the spot on that target that we are aiming for. So I'm just going to start top left and sort of walk my way across. Oh my. Centered that one. That was pretty cool. I don't always do that, but here we are. Another one in the dot. Can't really ask for much more than what this is giving me right now, but since there's a camera rolling, I'm probably going to screw it up. Touch right. And a touch high. Okay, this is part of it too. If you can identify what happened in a shot and tell yourself why that shot went high or right, that is huge. So on that last shot I just took, the fatigue of drawing this bow back kind of got to me, just from the arrows we've pushed through the session. I'm also pretty sore just from an unrelated workout. But knowing what part of your form broke down is going to be huge, because if you notice one part of your form breaking down over and over again, you know where to focus on in the next session. Let's go down to the target and check out the results. As you can see, center punched this one. Now I moved left to right, so I was getting a little bit more fatigued as we moved across this target, but this one felt just about perfect and landed just about perfect. Oh goodness. This one here, again, just about perfect. Bottom edge of this tiny little, I don't know, 1-inch dot. I like that. This was my third shot. This was pin float from fatigue. I can identify that as what that was for sure. And then this one, about the same kind of thing going on there. Might have had a little bit of weird pressure in my shooting hand when that arrow went off. So we're going to shoot it again, take into account the reasons for the misses, and try to correct them. Good start. Okay, that was definitely front arm drift, which is fine. Felt that when the shot broke. Again, most of my issues here are my left shoulder. Not a lot of inconsistency happening in my release hand, so that's good. The arrows are going where the pin is. I think I'm just a little bit sore today. Not bad at all. Beauty. Okay, let's go look. Okay, so overall, pretty good. Top edge on this one, I'm calling that close enough. This one, I felt my left hand push the bow high right, so landed high right. Felt that in the shot, able to identify that. This one, pretty happy with, in the blue. And this one, also touching the blue. So normally in a standard day of shooting, I would have half a dozen arrows with me, and I would probably do this 3 or 4 times. Let's go ahead back to the firing line, talk about the last drill that I typically always run. Okay, so last drill of the day is typically a long hold drill. You can also do very short hold drills where you draw back and break an arrow at like 20 yards fairly quickly. I've done those in the past too. They help out, but it's just generally not something I struggle with. What I struggle with is long hold stuff, which is usually an endurance metric. So we're going to step back to 40 yards again, just like earlier, and we are going to shoot one arrow 40 yards with a long hold. This simulates a deer that is coming to your shooting lane, you draw back to shoot, and he steps his vitals behind a tree, or he's about to step out, and maybe he busts you in the tree and you have to hold that arrow back for a long time. Okay, 40 yards, one shot, long hold. Let's see what happens. Bottom center target again. Yep, pulled her to the right. Okay, so aim point here, impact, high right. So for a deer at 40 yards, that's actually, I'm pretty unhappy with that. I would much rather have, you know, quite a bit closer to the center on there. Because at 40, that deer's got opportunity to move and, you know, probably still gonna kill him, but I wanna have the confidence to hold longer at 40. So we're going to reshoot this and double check the dial on my scope and then see what result we get afterwards. So let's head back, try it again. Not too bad. Let's walk down, take a look. Still a touch high. I think that is my sight tape, which I do need to, I need to recalibrate my sight tape. Everything's been hitting just a touch high, and I've been taking like a couple yards off of the tape instead of building on a new one, because I knew I had to do that at some point this year. So maybe my next video will be how I set up a sight tape on a spot hog sight. But if we take the up and down into account for the dial, I like this impact quite a bit more than the last one. All right, so just high, but my left and right is pretty darn correct. All right, so hopefully you guys found this video helpful, valuable. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns about the bow setup, the arrows, the training session as a whole, feel free to leave those down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. As always, good luck this season, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.